The following podcast is part of the MindBodySpirit.fm podcast network. Above the clouds of the Blue Ridge Mountains, there's a place where the noise fades and your breath comes easier. The Art of Living Retreat Center offers signature meditation, breathwork, and yoga retreats designed to calm the mind and renew the spirit. Choose a guided program, a self-paced R&R stay, or join inspiring guest teachers from around the world. Visit artoflivingretreatcenter.org and use code PODCAST for 20% off. Retreat to the mountain. Return to yourself.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
Wholeness means to me being in a state of joy.
Wholeness means feeling complete, owning my authentic gifts.
Wholeness is really connected. Everything is connected to everything.
Wholeness is where we have access to all parts of ourselves.
We're doing the Super Attractor. And this is from Gabrielle Bernstein, and it's really good, but it doesn't have a book or anything. So you just, there's nothing more to it. It's just what the card says. But this card says, I heal the habit of fear and I embrace the habit of love.
Oh.
And I think that's an interesting way to say it. That it is, we can practice it and we can make a new habit. If you do something enough, it becomes a habit. And so loving yourself, do it enough until it becomes an automatic response.
So today we're going to be talking about oracle cards, and Mechelle and I both love them. How many do you think you have? How many decks?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably 10 plus.
That's awesome.
Plus.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
probably have about the same. I don't know. I don't really want to admit how many I have, so put it out there as a mystery. But there's oracle cards, and then there's tarot or tarot. I don't know how to say it. People say it differently.
Mm-hmm.
But the tarot is how I say it. And there is, like, when we were talking to Graham, our friend who's a tarot expert, among other things, there is what did he call it? Like, there's a story of the tarot, or
it's the hero's journey.
Okay.
So the story of the tarot is very much it's not just random cards. It really is like a kind of the hero walks through the tarot and gains different things, learns different things, kind of like that.
Yeah. And they're very rich in symbolism. The cards all kind of have, if it is a true tarot deck, you can have different illustrators, but they all kind of include the same thing. So there's one where the snake is biting the ankle or the heel, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you see it in different decks, you'll notice that symbol will show up on that card, whichever one it is. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also numbers on there. There's usually little tiny symbols, and you'll see them all over.
Yeah.
And so those are very detailed, and anybody can use them, but to truly understand them, it does take a little bit of time to learn some of those. And so I would say an oracle deck, they can be like that and have a lot of rich symbolism. And they can also be very, very simple. And they're just a way to receive answers. They're a way to receive comfort if you need it, redirection. Whenever you're feeling a little bit lost, that's when I reach for an oracle card. Or if I'm just feeling like lost, or I don't know, when do you decide to pick an oracle card?
Yeah, like a lot of times when I'm just feeling it, I'd say, and I'm like, what is going on? And I can't really pinpoint what's going on. I'll grab my cards, or if it's like, especially at the beginning when I first started using them, it was more, it's because they're kind of just like positive messages, and it was like, please help me. It was like, please just help me feel better. And sometimes, there is something kind of magical about grabbing a card and having it say what you need it to say. I mean, there's just no doubt about that it just like refreshes yourself and it's like, okay, I can go forward or I can move past this or I'm going to be okay kind of a thing. Um,
Yeah,
it's just helpful. It's just
I
helpful.
agree. And I think of it as a spiritual activity because it is kind of like getting outside of yourself.
Yeah.
You're allowing that opportunity for something bigger than you to show
Hmm.
up.
Yep.
And Michelle and I just got the business astrology oracle, and we had an amazing experience with this. We did a huge layout, which I usually don't typically, what I'm doing for myself, do a huge layout. And we did have to reshuffle,
Yeah.
but then it was interesting, and we are each other's witnesses, that there were two cards that we were like, I'm not really sure what this is, and so we drew another one to see if we could kind of clarify, and it was the same, like just a
Message.
little bit different, the same message. And that was just a really good like exercise, I think, for us, not only in our
Mhm.
business, but just for me personally. And I don't know about you, but to say like, okay, there is something to this. There is,
Mhm.
it's not
Yeah.
just random.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find a lot of people that kind of, there's a lot of people struggling with their different faiths and things like that and getting answers to things. I mean, when I was going through what was my, crisis, my hard time in my life, it felt like, I would be like, I'd be like, how come you're not helping me, heavens? You know what I mean? Like it just felt like I was getting a no, a no, a no. And it was kind of devastating. It was really kind of devastating. And so it was good for me, helpful in some way. And I found it helpful for other people. For people, it's not like you need to replace, and I'm sure I'm triggering some people by even suggesting it, but it was like just needed to kind of restart that trust
Hmm.
that something greater than me cared about me, because that had kind of gone flatline for a little bit. I felt like I just what it didn't matter. I wasn't, my feelings. I just felt like I had hit a brick wall, and so in fact, I've got it right here. This was my very first deck. I mean, it's so dumb, but when I bought it, I thought, oh man, I'm stepping over the edge, like it felt like I was, but it's just this sweet the simple answers. It's still one of my favorite decks. Um, and it always works for me. Like it
Yeah.
always works for me where I'll be like, and especially in the beginning, I mean, my heart would be beating, my throat would be dry. I'd be like, if, it was like stepping out and like, if you're not going to help me, like I was just terrified that I was just going to get like, that didn't work, kind of a thing. Cause it was so painful. I'd done that too much. I'd been in that situation too much. And it would just brought me back a little bit to get these small little answers that just had something that was pertaining to what was happening or gave me something to do or told me what, kind of just put myself back into like, okay, I could keep going. You know what I mean? I could keep going and so they're really important to me. They're really special to me because of that, and now I've used them so often that they really do work. You know what I mean? They really do. There really is some kind of a special message I get when I go to them. It
Yeah.
fits. But it took a
I've
while. It took a while to trust it. It was every time it was like, oh no, is this gonna work?
I still have that sometimes too. Like,
For sure.
this is gonna be the day that's not
Yeah,
gonna, and then it
this is
does, and
it.
I'm like, good, I feel so much better.
It's
Um,
true.
so uh I heard the other day that you're supposed to tell your cards thank you or whatever
Oh,
after the
nice.
job. And I was wondering, okay, like who am I thanking? And I was thinking, gosh, okay, so if there is a spirit team, I would guess, if we were to guess who's helping us, it would be, my higher self, and it would be, my guardian angels, and if I have a spirit team or the divine feminine, whoever wanted to come in and help me pick those cards, I believe that they're kind of there. And in the new job that I have, we have this thing called person-centered planning.
Hmm.
And it's like you're sitting there with this other person, and usually they have disabilities. And so, but you're wanting them to have as typical of an experience as they can. You're not, and so you're including mistakes. You're letting them lead this discussion and saying, okay, well, if this is what you want to do, okay, this is how we're going to help you get there or whatever. And I was thinking about like, drawing an oracle card and maybe not just one all the time, but if you're doing several ones, I was like, that is a person-centered planning meeting. Like this is everybody's kind of getting together and saying, okay, let's help you to see how you can make what this desire you have or this problem that you have. Let's help you work through it. And I just loved thinking about that. And like, yeah, of course I would want to say thank you after.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how cool is that everyone's just here for me in this moment
Mm-hmm.
to just help me with this little thing that I've got going or a big thing that I've got going.
Right. Right. And I mean, I think what you're saying is absolutely right. And I also think, if you get into like the like physics or the like, quantum mechanic type things, on this on a level, everything is vibrating at a certain frequency. Everything is, even the cards.
Yeah.
And so as I say thank you, that is a vibration of gratitude that just adds to the space. And I mean, it gets really kind of woo-woo there, but it's I like how what if, and that's what I'm asking, what if like everything is special? Everything. What if everything is? What if this table is, what if, because if there is this feeling of unconditional love, then there's no condition to it. So whether you're a table or whether you're a card, we become all equal. This whole hierarchy that we have about life, sometimes we need it in a certain way. Like I need to be, I need to be above maybe my children, right? It was when they're young, especially, I need to be like hierarchical above them. So it's almost a both and. But when you get to it, I mean, they can, it's almost like their own, they can have their own spirit to them or whatever, and I think it's the same kind of thing as far as like too. I mean, people might be uncomfortable with them. I remember, so in the tarot, you've got the cups, the wands, the coins. What are those coins?
Pentacles.
Yeah, the pentacles, and what's the other one? Which is where vase cards came from. You have spades, you have hearts, you have, clover. They're the same suits. It's kind of the same. It was kind of, the cards came from and I know people who were like not supposed to play with those kind of cards, like they were kind of bad. And I think it kind of moved over from the tarot, so when I was kind of nervous about it, and I still feel like if somebody's not okay with that, I'm like, okay, you're fine. I wouldn't push it on somebody. But at the same time, it's like things can be used for good or bad. You know what I mean? It's not the object that's the determinant of it. That
Yeah.
things are not innately bad. Like I just don't think that, anymore at least. And so if things can be benign, if this is a card deck, and my exchange with it is, my intention is what creates that, the experience, and I feel like that's a beautiful thing, that I can use them for in the way that feels good to me, um and that's okay, and then if I don't want to, I don't have to. It's more about me choosing and my ability to choose than it is the object or the thing that I'm choosing. Why am I choosing it? What's, if I'm like, because like in the beginning, it was a little bit, it wasn't bad, but it was like I would say the energy of it was very dense. I was low, you know what I mean? I was needing something to help me feel like I mattered in the world, to be completely honest. And, so I feel like I have a very different relationship with them now, but I'm just so grateful that they showed up for me in a way that wasn't, I wasn't getting anywhere else. So
Right.
that's my
Yeah,
story.
and that leads me into the next thing that's beautiful is superstition versus intention. And so
Yes.
there is some superstition, like I've heard that when you get your first tarot deck, that it should come to you wrapped in a silk container, bag, or whatever. And then it has to be gifted to you, that you can't purchase it or it's not going to work. Or that if you don't clear them with moonlight, then they're not going to work. Or you have to put them out and do crystals and you have to do all these things. And I remember talking to you about that one time and just saying like, oh, I can't use them until I do this. And you were like, why? And you asked it in a very nice way. You didn't say it like, what are you doing? But I just was thinking, yeah, it's all about kind of that intention. Like I can hold these cards and say like, these are mine and they're going to work for me. And that's what I did with my last deck that I just got. I just said, these are mine now. And I looked through each one. I think that that actually is a really important thing. I don't think you have to do it to make it work, but it just kind of lets you feel what they feel like and see what they are and look at the artwork and kind of understand them a little bit better. And I learn things every time I do
Mm,
that. Like this last one I got was the Divine Masters Oracle, which is Ascended Masters. And there's some that I've never heard of before. And there's some that are couples, which I just thought was actually really kind of cool.
wow.
Yeah. And so had I not done that, had I just drawn a card, it might have taken, there's 44 cards in there. It could have taken me 44 tries to get that one.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at it and understanding them, I think so anyway, when we get to superstition, I think that's sometimes where we can start assigning the good and bad, right? Because we're
Yeah,
just, oh, we're not doing it the right way, or that's the wrong way. And
right.
that energy doesn't really do anything for us, I don't think, as far as helping us become better.
Right. Well, and what you believe is what is true. You know what I mean? Like if you really believe that has to happen, then I think that they show up for you in that way. You know what I
True.
mean? And so I'm saying like if somebody says, if they have that deep belief, let's say they were told from a kid like you have to be given those things, it's hard to just throw that away, but one of the ways towards more maybe a more authentic way is just to say, let me see how I feel about that. Do I feel like I need to do that this time? And actually just ask one moment at a time. And then that's at the kind of the talking about the card, then we can change our habit into maybe something different. But if that serves you, it serves you. But like what I think what you're trying to say is, if we just are given this set of this is how it works or this is what it is, and we don't ever intertwine it with what feels right for us, then I feel like it has power. You know what I mean? It has some kind of
Yes.
power over us, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It shouldn't
Yeah.
have
These are
power.
a tool for us. We're not a tool for them. That
Right.
isn't for us.
Right.
I like that. Some of the big names I would say in Oracle cards are Radley Valentine, Gabby Bernstein that you just showed. Um,
Doreen Virtue is
yes. Oh, I
one.
want one of her ones, the healing ones that are discontinued. I
Oh
really want
shoot.
a deck of those. Kyle Gray is another one that does quite a few. Um, yeah, those are the bigger names, but there all sorts of people make them,
Uh-huh.
and they all have different artists. And some people are really just drawn to the artwork, and that's how they pick them out. Some people are
Mm-hmm.
drawn to like the top. For me, it's more of a topic. I don't know. How do
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
find a card deck?
Um, yeah, it's just kind of what speaks to me. I'm very, very particular about mine,
Are you
and
really?
a lot of that I have. The ones I've just been recently, my friend moved and she gave me a bunch of hers, and there's different times I've been like, nope, this isn't mine. Nope, these aren't mine. And I wouldn't say it to anybody else, but it's like um they and so sometimes I'll buy them and then I will keep them for just a little bit and then I'll just have this feeling like, nope, these aren't for me. And like I wouldn't ever think twice if somebody else had them. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I just practice trusting that feeling. It's like, what's the worst that could, like I just want to learn, I want to practice that trust of myself, so that I can have that as a habit versus, because it's like, well, why would I want to do that? Oh, well, I know, but, and I'm talking myself out of it. Oh, but you've spent this money on it. I mean, da, 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 da. And I'm just talking myself out of this feeling instead of like, I'll sit there for a minute and be like, do I need to do that? And I'll sit for a second and then it's like, oh, yep. Or it's fine, like, and I'll just, because I've trusted that enough, I can tell I'll like go and um, I'll step toward it to take them out. And it's like, yeah, yeah, these are done. These are done for me. And
Wow.
so anyway,
When you say that, like there is a deck I have that I just don't love. Like I don't use it. And it's funny because when I do Reiki, I let people pick a deck of cards and people pick that one all the time. And I'm always like, oh,
oh,
and I
funny.
let them do it it's them
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And I just think that's interesting because yeah, I feel kind of guilty that I don't like that one, but it must be for someone else, or
Right.
maybe it's just for that. Maybe it's for people that come and need it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. And so shuffling is something that my aunt taught me to shuffle, at do the rainbow thing, whatever it's called.
Hmm.
Didn't realize that was a talent that I have.
It's hard with can you do it
I
with these
should
big old cards though? I can do it with like playing cards, but these ones are hard to shuffle sometimes.
it depends. Like if it's more than 40, usually not. Like I think
Yeah.
it depends on how many there are or how new they are or even what they're made of. Like some cards come already like I got this one the other day, and it was already kind of bent a little bit, so it was easier to
Oh,
manipulate
nice.
them. Some of them are definitely thicker, some of them are thinner.
True.
So how do you shuffle?
So I usually, this is what that's the first book taught me is you knock on the deck 3 times, knock, 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 just to clear the energy off of them from the time before. And then I'll just shuffle. Let me grab it. Like it depends. It changes. Like I say, especially depending on the deck. But like, so if the deck is like this, I'll usually cut it like this and then try and
Mhm.
shuffle.
Okay.
But yeah, like people that do this, I haven't been able to
I'm
figure
gonna
that out yet.
practice that. I haven't been able to
Yeah,
figure that out either. I
it's
tried to
hard.
watch a YouTube video on how to do it, and the video wasn't specifically talking about that. But yeah, that's amazing. And you've had a experience. You taught me the knocking thing, and then you also a jumper. Do you want to tell everybody what a jumper is?
Oh, did I tell you that? So if
Well,
one just kind of
yeah.
pops out, so there's a couple things. So sometimes I will. So as I'm shuffling, I'm really paying attention to my, like it, and so two things happen when you'll be shuffling, and at some point you'll go to push the cards in, and they're like all of a sudden they'll just be stuck, and that's when I know I'm done shuffling, and then I
Okay.
might stick them, and then I'll just pick them with my non-dominant hand, and look, I picked the same card that we just did before, uh,
That's
and
amazing.
and so and that's how I'll do it. Sometimes I'll be shuffling and all of a sudden it's like the bottom card.
Hmm.
Or I'll feel like, oh, the top card. Like it'll just pop in. Or sometimes I'll spread them out like this and then I'll take my hand over it and it's weird. Like I'll just be like, I can't move anymore. Okay, here, this one. Okay. And then I'll just pick a card that way. So I'm just very present into what I'm feeling, and so it happens many different ways, but sometimes you'll be shuffling or whatever, and one will pop out, like one will just like fly out. And sometimes you just grab it and put it back in, and you're like, don't even think about it. But other times you're like it'll just, I've heard like it'll snag you. You'll be like, you'll feel this little like, that's it. You know what I mean? And it's like, you just trust that it's like, oh, that was something,
Yeah.
something just shifted. And so then that's your card. That's your card.
Yeah. I was reading yesterday and it was talking about jumpers. If one or two, this is the advice. I think Kyle Gray, this is what he said, but if one or two pop out, put those to the side, then those will kind of be clarifiers to when you actually do your layouts,
Oh
if
yeah.
that's what you're doing. Anyway, so yeah, and I noticed like when Graham, our tarot reader does it, he just kind of picks one and it's the right card. So
Yeah.
I guess once you get practiced enough, like it just comes.
You just,
Um,
yeah, they just come.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And I read too that like if you're doing a one card pull or a one card um what do they call it? One card
Uh,
layout, I guess, like
y-
maybe layout.
yeah, what
That
is,
that is almost always going to be a strength.
mm,
So it's usually good. And I was trying to think back to the times I pulled a card and I'm like, yeah, I can see that. And sometimes it is like for me, like one time I pulled one of the animal cards and it was humpback whale. And it was like, music is going to be really important to you in the next little bit, and and
wow.
and I just thought, I do need to clear my head a little bit because I listened to so many things. And that was a great message. So in that case, it wasn't necessarily a strength, but the first one's usually a strength. So he recommended if you're really searching for an answer to try to do at least a 2 card layout. So that first one is kind of your strength. And then the next one is like how to solve your problem or how the redirection or whatever, which
Yeah.
I thought was a great idea to
Yeah,
do
that
that.
is.
So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll just pick one card or I'll do like I think so. I'm telling you, this one is the one. Like this book just kind of taught me, and it's at the beginning. It's just this tiny little, and it's like a page and a half of like explaining it. But it's like, the first represents the frame of mind in which to approach the situation or problem. The second one points to the way to shift the problem or the thing that's happening. And the third is what you're overlooking. Or you could say present, future, what's happening now, what's from the past or past, present, future, whatever. Your intention
Yeah.
means everything. But so sometimes I'll do those, but like so many times it's just for me, it's like, what's going on? Like that's how I use them. I'm like, what is happening in my life? And I'll pick a card and I'll be like, oh, okay, that's what it is. And you pay, like I say, you pay really attention to all the things that come up for you. And some people might say, oh, well, you're just making it fit. And I would say, okay, like,
Hmm.
all right, if that works, but which is I'm totally fine with. But it's like it does help me get clarity and help me know how to move forward. It really just does. So
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree. So popular topics when someone's I don't necessarily have people coming to me for card readings, but when I'm doing
right.
it for myself, or hey, if you want to come to us for card reading, Michelle and I are open to that. So we have a lot of decks. We might as well put them to
We
use.
might as well.
Yeah. But typically people I would say there's three things that people are looking for answers for or help with. I would say relationships, finances and job and health
Mm-hmm.
concerns.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought it would be really fun just to do some quick card pulls. So the first one would be for finances. So Michelle, grab a deck. I'm going to grab a deck. And um, since it's finances, I'm going to do the business. We'll see. The
Oh,
astrology.
smart. I'm going to do this is called um it says the psychic tarot for the heart, but it's really just I don't think it's the tarot, but it's oracle. But
Okay.
we'll see.
I think sometimes those words are used interchangeably, I would
Yeah.
say.
I think they're super fancy when they're gold edged, you
Ooh.
know. So I also love cards so much. That's why I created my own decks, which mine are just for like the daily things. I have one that's like a daily, and then I have a chakra one that I need to get printed, but
I was
because
going
I
to talk
love
about
cards. Yeah, I just love it's like you learn so much. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you for the
Yep, those
plug.
are awesome cards. Well, I'll
I'll
use
put
them.
them in the store. I'll make sure the link is in the store.
Yeah, that's a really awesome deck. I think that's my mom's first one as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
That's cool.
so I'm gonna do finance. So a lot of times, I'll like try and think about, okay, finance, what's some financial advice for our listeners? So I just keep shuffling and okay, one more, I think at least. So see how all of a sudden, like I'm
Oh yeah.
having the hardest time putting them together. And so then I'll set them down just to make sure, yep, and it wants me to pick. So um I've got, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, I felt so I picked one, but I felt like the one on the bottom was it. But
Okay.
what's interesting about these is they're both number seven. They're both number
Ooh.
seven cards. One is Seek
Okay.
the Truth and one is Awaiting Results.
Okay.
And let's see. So Seek the Truth is you've put much energy into creating and attracting the relationships you desire and are eager to see positive results. Patience is needed, however. Reshaping attitudes and beliefs takes time. Refining yourself so that you'll attract just the right person is a process. So this is talking about, so the alternative are patience and assessment. If you find yourself becoming frustrated at the lack of change, or step back and focus on something other than your relationship for a while. When you're feeling more detached, you'll be in a better position to notice any improvements. If you've invested enough time, then take a moment to evaluate your progress. Are your efforts bearing fruit? Are you seeing the desired changes in your interactions with others? If yes, excellent. Carry on. If not, maybe it's time to shift your approach. Look for alternative strategies to affect the change you desire. What works with one person may not work with another. When working on yourself, be sure that you're being true to who you are and not simply following society's formula for relationships. Okay, so this is a great example because this is talking about relationships and we asked about finances. And so, you know, if you're fine saying that didn't work, I'll respect that. But listen to the interesting words that are in here. Um, uh, first of all, it's talking about reshaping attitudes and beliefs. It takes, that they take time, and I think that's very much part of finances. And it says, um, it says, the word invested, it's got the word bearing fruit, it's got the word desire, it's got it's talking about, it's got the word formula in it, like it's interesting. So you can take this and say, okay, first of all, for some, maybe it's like, what's going on with your finances? Maybe they're attached to your spouse or to your partner, and so this is kind of talking about relationships. So it's like, how is that relationship affecting my finances? And you could think about it that way.
Okay.
Okay, so that was awaiting results. Okay, then the other one, real quick, was.
Hey, it's Paris. You know, I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at Polestar.com.
Okay, Seek the Truth. So this is the card called Seek the Truth. And it says, intuition is a powerful ally, and now is a good time to follow and trust your inner promptings. It may be that not at all it seems. Use your psychic senses to determine which of any of your associations may be questionable. Trust in that intuition. And as much as you would like to trust, it's important to question. Be cautious about sharing your private thoughts and feelings in order to avoid allowing yourself to be placed in a vulnerable position. So I should have used this for relationships, because apparently this whole deck is about relationships. But yeah, because I heard once that that money sits in one of your lower chakras, and it really wants to sit into your heart chakra. It wants to be more about love rather than competition and need kind of a thing. It's kind of wants to be more in a flow. So that's why I picked this one. But there you go. But it's like, seek your intuition. Yeah, seek your intuition. So maybe, who knows? That probably makes sense for someone. When it comes to your money, seek your intuition. Pay attention.
All right. And then I picked Juno. And can you see that peacock back there? It's very significant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So if you pull this card, you're being asked to tune into the places in your business or in your life or in your financial part where you need more to be more committed. Juno in astrology represents your ability to be committed to your projects, initiatives, values, and purpose. Probably intuition, I would add as well, like your last card. Reminds you that all good things take time, persistence, and focus. And her familiar, the peacock, reminds you that there's time to shine and a time to focus on the work. Sometimes your feathers are fanned out and sometimes they're hidden. It's safe to be bold if you want to and take up space. So I think, for your finances, it's safe for you to have money and to display it. That's what
yeah. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's another thing, is sometimes just looking at the picture is what is needed. So I'm going to find this one card real quick. When I had a friend who was diagnosed with cancer, and we were going to pull a card for her, and she had wanted to, she was like, it was going to where she was going to have to shave her head. So she
Oh,
decided that she was going to, she was kind of feeling it, and she was like, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, she was going to cut her hair real short, dye it totally pink, and just have it that way until it fell out, like she was just going to go crazy with it and change it up. And so we picked a card, and look, this is the card we picked. Look at that little pink faux
oh my
hawk.
gosh.
Is that
Wow.
kind of wild? Yeah. And it was just kind of like, well, so sometimes the pictures mean more than anything. You know what I mean? Sometimes, so look at the pictures. I forgot to look at those pictures and kind of, study it. It's really an intention. It's really just like, what can I get out of this card more than I dare this card to tell me something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I that's really wise to start looking at the pictures a little bit more. I think I just want an answer so fast, so I go to the words,
Me too.
but
Me too.
I mean, looking at that picture, I think could be a form of meditation. I think that could be
Yes,
a cool opportunity to take for that.
totally.
So
So this one's going to be relationships.
this is relationships. I'm using the Time Travel Oracle by Denise Lynn for this one.
Cute. And I'm using my favorite,
Oh,
the simple answers.
okay. So this is for relationships. What do you
Yeah,
need?
relationships. I'm going to actually spread them out and pick one because that shuffling's not working very well.
Okay. So I got stability, the baobab tree.
Ooh,
That's a really cool picture. There's people sitting at the bottom of it.
yeah.
It's in Africa. So let's see. Messages from the baobab tree. They provide food, shelter, and water for people and animals, and they're like titans of the savannah. And we feel stable in our reality and firmly grounded to our connection to all of our life. So to gain stability in your life, take measures of your relationships, finances, possessions, and health. Heal old wounds and strengthen relationships with your loved ones. Make careful plans for the future. This says it's valuable to imagine a worst case scenario and figure out a strategies to survive. And it says that can actually prevent the situation from occurring. Really like that message.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do not act on these plans until you feel secure about going forward. It's an excellent time to go into partnership with others, whether it's marriage, a business venture, or a creative project. If you move slowly, go deep, and look for constancy in life, lasting success will follow. So I love that baobab tree. That's so
Yeah,
pretty.
that is cool. That is cool. Okay, so this is what I got, number 11, talk to God. And
Oh,
it says, stop talking to your ego. It only confuses you and makes you fearful. Besides, its advice is terrible and never brings the results it promises. Converse with God instead. Instruct your ego to be quiet and allow your spirit to have a heart-to-heart with your loving creator. Ask the divine for direction. Listen with your spirit in the very center of your heart and don't permit your ego to interrupt. God is available at any time and, in fact, has been waiting to hear from you, the real, authentic, divine, lovable, and lovely spirit to you. Tell God what you need and expect guidance and support. Your Creator loves your spirit and wants you to be happy, even though your ego has been telling you otherwise, and your spirit loves your Creator and wants the same. It's only your ego that's causing problems. So to stop talking to it and start talking to God. There you'll find the answers. So that's what showed up.
oh, cool. So yeah, I'm curious on what that means to you. Yeah. Or-
Yeah. I think that sometimes that ego is what really gets in the way in relationships. And the ego has two voices. It's I'm better than or I'm not enough. They're both equally the voice. And so in a relationship, it gets tricky. It's like either I'm not equal to you or I want you to do what I say. And that's what gets kind of tricky in a relationship. So it's like, to me, it says move outside of that ego and just listen, like trust that you're enough or ask for that or something like that and move into that space. So interesting. So I'm going to use this super attractor again for, what was this? Health.
This
Okay.
is for the health, yeah. And I'm going to use I just barely got these two, the Angel
Ooh,
Number Oracle by the Pulp Girls.
okay. And know. I feel like the cards are all kind of new. There used to just be, I feel like Doreen Virtue was like it for lots of time. So I feel like these are all like within at least the last decade. Yeah. There wasn't very many. What I got is, like I say, this one doesn't have this is just a thing. So it says, I slow down and listen to the guidance that's available to me. I feel like that's very good advice for your health. Slow down. And then look at the picture, it's like.
Well, why are there wings to slow down? Because you think of wings as being fast.
True, that's true. And then look at the like moon and the crown at the top, like.
Are they resting?
Yeah, maybe I slow down and listen to the guidance that's available to me. Maybe it's tune into your angels. I mean, the moon's there, so it's a feminine feel to it, and the moon is feminine. And then that crown is like a royal, so maybe, think of that what you may, but fascinating.
And then in the angel numbers, I got 1144.
Ooh, yeah.
And the best decisions are made from a place of peace and stability. Check in on your foundations. Are you keeping yourself grounded? Are there needs that you have been neglecting? Prioritize your inner work. Pour your whole heart into whatever you're working on. Yeah, finding a center of stability and peace, doing some inner work, healing. I feel like goes really well with your card.
Yeah, it is. That's fascinating. Love it. Well, I hope everybody gets to try their own ideas of these cards. And there's affirmations, and on the app there is a daily affirmation. You can go and pick a card on the app. You just go in there, flip through, use your intuition of where to stop, and then read that little. It's more just like an affirmation, and see if it fits. See if it's something that is you're kind of needing, and try it out for yourself.
Yeah, hopefully you'll love them just as much as we do.
Yeah.
Hey friend, it's Chalene
and Mechelle, and we're excited to tell you about our Wholeness Library membership.
It's a vast library of videos and holistic tutorials with experts around the world who teach everything from energy healing to Reiki to chakra work, mediumship, guided meditations, and more.
With our Wholeness Library membership at just $5.55 a month, you have access to all of that online, plus monthly live Zoom meetups and our app for learning and healing anywhere, anytime.
No pressure, just love. Try us with a free 7-day trial membership, and you can cancel at any time.
Come to thewholenessnetwork.com and enjoy everything from A to Zen. See you there.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Meredith. Welcome to the Medical Intuitive Miracle Show. Let me help you with healing using medical intuition and connections to your loved ones on the other side. On my podcast, The Medical Intuitive Miracle Show, I demonstrate my abilities with show participants in offering physical and emotional healing. Join me as I share these powerful teachings and welcome some amazing guests too. Listen to The Medical Intuitive Miracle Show on mindbodyspirit.fm and wherever you get your podcasts.
We spend a third of our lives sleeping and dreaming, yet most of us have no idea what goes on during that time. I'm Kelly Sullivan Walden, and as a dream expert and best-selling author, I'm here to empower you to mine the gold from your nighttime dreams. Join me on the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show, part of the mindbodyspirit.fm podcast network, available wherever you get your podcasts. Until we meet again, don't take your dreams lying down.